Every Labor Day weekend, the city of Auburn turns into one of the world's premier destinations for automotive enthusiasts. This year marks the 70th annual Auburn Cord Duesenberg Festival, celebrating the innovation, craftsmanship, design that made Auburn synonymous with luxury automobiles. More than a classic car show, the festival generates significant tourism for Northeast Indiana, attracts visitors from around the globe, and preserves a unique chapter of American manufacturing history. Here to fill us in on this year's event is Elisa Wellington, Director of Marketing and Communication at the ACD Museum. Welcome to the 260.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, 70th anniversary of this thing. Tell me a bit about what we're going to see. Why is the festival such a spectacular thing?
The festival is stunning. I feel like it brings in so many people from all over the world. At the museum, we bring in about 40,000 visitors per year, but during the festival alone, it's about 29,000 people that will grace our doors specifically. But there's hundreds of ACD vehicles that will come out. There's a huge car show in Eckhart Park and a big parade and cruise-in, so it's a really magnificent time to be in Auburn.
Talk a little bit about the legacy of the Auburn Motor Company. What made it a unique, such a unique time and brand and experience here in Northeast Indiana?
Yes, so during the early 1900s, car manufacturing was starting to boom, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that during that time, a lot of people were used to a horse and buggy, and they had to convince people that cars were the thing. And the Auburn Automobile Company was just full of innovative minds that could get people excited about these big, scary machines. But more importantly, especially being the director of marketing, I think the way they marketed those vehicles during that time was significant.
You can appreciate them, right?
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Marketing. Let's talk. Each of the brands had a little bit of a different personality, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about each of them. What was Accord like?
So Accord was a little more higher end, I would say, a little more elegant, especially the L29, which is known for being the first front-wheel drive car ever. I think that makes it just stand out in time on its own. In terms of even the Auburn automobile.
So was Auburn the kind of the entry model?
It was, yeah. And I would say the Auburn automobile was more for everyday people, a little more affordable, a little more family-friendly, things like that.
Okay. And then the Duesenberg.
So Duesenberg is your all-time luxury vehicle. I would say more into the Hollywood stars and pivotal public figures own Duesenbergs more than, say, someone like me, a normal lady.
Well, some of these cars, they look like rolling sculptures, right?
Yes.
What's the allure for collectors of these cars?
Oh, I think it depends on each model prospectively, right? So Duesenbergs, I think because they have that high luxury view, but also their engines are fantastic. They have straight eights in there, so they're loud, they're fast. They're hitting over 100 miles per hour during their time. I think that is just a big deal for collectors, especially if they're into racing or things like that. Just with Auburns and Cords, because they were so innovative and coming up with new things that weren't even thought of at the time, I think collectors.
What are some of those examples of those things?
So like hidden headlights or the front-wheel drive that I mentioned previously. Even the strange design of a Cord 810, 812 with the coffin nose and the hidden radiator, that was big for the time because back then a lot of those things were kind of more exposed.
What do you think led to the decline of the Auburn Motor Company?
So I really think that, they closed down in 1937 entirely in all of their factories. So in Auburn, in Connersville, and in Indianapolis. So during that time, it was just at that peak of kind of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And because a lot of their models were luxury, it kind of phased out a little bit.
Sure. Is it difficult to keep up one of these cars now in this day and age in finding parts and do parts get made secondhand for these cars?
So sometimes. I think the most beautiful thing about these cars are the collectors, especially people at the ACD Club and the ACD Festival, and how everybody's connected to the museum. We are lucky enough to have a volunteer pit crew at the museum that is there to help restore these vehicles and get them roadworthy again. And I think because we have such a great network with the ACD Club and the festival that we're able to get parts because everyone kind of switches and trades and swaps, and we get people donating parts only to the museum. And I think even outside of the museum, that network is still available for people to communicate within each other and find out what they need. And
that makes a lot of sense, right? If you have something and you can donate it to the museum, because it's very specific use for the people that have these cars. Sure. The Parade of Classics is a big part of the festival. Talk about that. Why that's special?
So the Parade of Classics, I think, is amazing. It starts at the museum and goes all the way downtown into Auburn. And I think I always talk about the museum itself being a time machine. You step in, you get to go back in the 1930s into the original Auburn automobile showroom. But I think it's so fun to see the parade happening because it's like you get to be transformed to the 30s in Auburn, being able to see all these cars together in with the historic buildings and seeing all the people dressed up and things like that. So it's really highlighting just kind of the best of the best that's out there right now. We welcome everybody to come out, and even kind of building a really great community of people that enjoy and appreciate these cars.
Yeah, it's a scene, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Definitely a scene. It's also a big driver in Auburn. Traditionally this time of year it brings in a lot of people for the local economy.
Yeah, like I said, we get about 29,000 visitors that come through our doors, and that's something we can track readily. But the whole town of Auburn is buzzing during that time. I mean, from downtown businesses up to other museums that we have in the area too. Mm-hmm.
Do you, you work at the museum, you're around these cars. Is there, what is special about this brand that can still resonate in today's day and age?
So I really think that's important to understand that these cars, it's all about the people, and being the Auburn Automobile Company in the original building that it started in. There are descendants that still live in Auburn with the Auburn workers and the people that are related to the people that work there. So you start with that connection of people from then to now with the owners and the people that come through for the festival. I think the most beautiful thing is the connection to all the people it has. And I think that's super special. Mm-hmm.
Do younger generations start to appreciate these cars when they discover them?
Yeah, the real beautiful thing, we just took a 1930 Duesenberg Model J to the Concours d'Elegance in South Bend, and they have a junior judging section. So we sat in our CEO and executive director, Brandon Anderson, talked to all these little kids, and these kids were like, I don't know, maybe 6 to 12 or something like that. I don't remember the exact age range, but they were little. That's all. Sometimes I look at somebody and I'm like, are they 3? Are they 12? I don't
know. You've lost that ability. I lose that sometimes.
Yeah. So, but it was really cool because Brandon was able to get them excited about this old car.
Yeah.
And he asked if they wanted to hear him rev it up, and they're like, yeah. They're all excited, and they're like, oh, it's loud. And it's like, oh, but the smell, they love the smell of the crisp, clean gasoline smell. The sound of a Duesenberg straight 8 engine is just, it's so cool because you don't hear that. You wouldn't expect that from a car from the 1930s, but it's smooth. It's roaring, but it's very smooth and clean. And the cool thing is that our Duesenberg ended up winning the Junior Judges Award.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that's kind of a testament to us appealing to younger generations.
Well, I can hear the passion coming from you. You grew up around cars?
Not these type of cars.
Yeah.
So I grew up around cars that are probably more in the 50s, 60s to the 70s. I grew up in around Detroit, Michigan, and my dad has always been a big hot rod guy, and his friends were collectors, and so I was like 6 or 7 riding around in old Corvettes and Mustangs and things.
What's it like to ride in a Duesenberg?
Oh, well, everybody always wants to ride in a Duesenberg, and like I mentioned, with that crisp sound and the smooth engine, it's a really fine experience. I actually rode in the rumble seat at the Concours, and you would think in the rumble seat in the back you'd just be bouncing everywhere, but it was so smooth and so comfortable. The seats are super comfortable. I can understand why it was a luxury vehicle of its time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that information. The Auburn Cord Duesenberg Festival runs September 3rd through the 6th with some pre-festival activities beginning the weekend before Labor Day. Learn more at acdfestival.org. Thank you so much for being on the 260.